Now, I'm delighted to join by Pa Ranahan to look back on Limerick's brilliant start to the league and look forward to Louth. So, 2 from 2 in the league, Pa wins over Longford and Antrim. Doesn't get much better than that.
No, riding the crest of a wave at the minute with the way results are going in the league. Going into the year, I suppose you would have had question marks, albeit last year was very impressive too. But I suppose you're going in, and it's been said 100 times now, but you're missing important players throughout the team, not just in one area, but in the back line and midfield and the forwards. And I suppose you're just wondering, are they going to be missed? And maybe they will be, but to date, the players who stepped in have really produced it. The McGrath Cup obviously didn't give a great indicator, although albeit the Tipperary match was very impressive, everything in part to scoring. And I think in the league, they've rectified that. They've top goal scorers with 6 at the minute. Their shooting rate is pretty good. They're not kicking too many wides. And now obviously there's parts of the game that they would look to improve on, but 2 from 2 when you're playing Longford at home, who you never know Longford, especially with the bounce they'd get from a new manager, and Limerick were full value that night. The game should have been put to bed long before it was, but full value for the 7-point win. And then the one in Antrim, look, anybody who has to travel away to win in the league is impressive, even more so when it's that distance. Like, it's just people don't understand the toll it can take on you, like, not so much physically, but just mentally having to deal with everything, not used to the same setting, not used to your bed, getting up, all that. And I have to say that the performance above in Corrigan Park last weekend was just so professional, I suppose, so good from the word go, and it really gave an indication of where this group are at the minute.
And that we'll focus on that performance against Antrim, because you obviously were there. I suppose you obviously mentioned the length of the travel to go there and to lose would be very demoralising to come home to. But Antrim would have been seen as one of the teams that could be challenging at the end of the season. So it's not only get a win, but get a win against a rival will be huge for Billy.
Yeah, the previous week, I know Pat Spillane and his wisdom said that Antrim were one of his big picks to get out of division. And to be fair, having their victory against Fermanagh, it was impressive looking, like, to beat a team who've operated at a higher level for the last few seasons. So going up there, maybe Antrim thought, okay, we've a hard one under the belt now with Fermanagh done, and we're at home now. Maybe that'll be worth something. But when you start the match so impressively as Limerick did, like, it really does kind of lay down a marker. Like, it was literally one of the first attacks, a goal, then the next attack, a point, possibly the next attack again, a goal. So I'm sure Antrim were reeling at that point, and the Limerick lads were, like, really confident. It was a 2-5 to 5 at half time. I remember tweeting at the time that while it was a fantastic lead, Limerick would have had a tinge of disappointment almost, because they had been so dominant in that first half, and they'd really got after the Antrim kick out, and everything looked so impressive, defensively really solid, without having to drop off too quickly, like they're pressing kickouts, at the same time as being able to defend properly in the back line. They were being very unselfish on the ball. There was nobody really taking too many plays. The way the team is operating now, I just noticed there's been 11 different scorers in the league to date for Limerick, which is really good. You'd in that first match against Longford, you'd Killian Fahey 1-3 and Brian Donovan 2 goals and a point, and neither of those scored against Antrim. Now Killian obviously was a loss because he had to cry off in the warm up. And again, when I saw that, I was like, okay, you probably have had plans in place here for Killian. The team looks at him as a leader. How are you going to react now to this late stage of him being missing? And they didn't miss a beat. Like, it was just like next man up, and that's the way it's been. And look, it never works out as easily as that, where you just go, oh, well, we've lost this many players and they're stepping up. Like, even from the very first game, you'd had 3 injuries: Mike Donovan, Robbie Childs, and Pride de Bruin. You'd had to replace those 3. Then you'd lost Killian before the start of the Antrim match, so you'd replace him. And then at a vital time in the second half of that game, where it looked like Antrim were coming back into it, you had 2 more injuries to Cian Sheehan and Paul Maher. And you're really looking, saying, okay, well, who is number 23, 24 on the panel, and are they able to step up? And they very much did. Like, which, look, that's really pleasing when you've got that, because what that breeds in the panel is real competition. Like, if you can make the panel, which in itself at the minute is a big thing, then you can play a big part. You're not just relying on 17, 18 players.
Yeah, it's very good to see the amount of players, because obviously there's 3 frontline players in the championship team last year and 6 more. How impressed have you been with the kind of fringe players? Now, we've seen Cian Sheehan move back to the Fens, Killian Fight in field, but Peter Nash is probably new into that side and was named on the team of the week, and Brian Donovan the week before, that these players are taking their chance when it's presented.
Yeah, and I suppose it goes back to Billy, the point Billy has been harping on for a long time about the maturity of lads. And even lads, okay, you might say a lad at 23 is getting mature, but a lot of these lads are maybe mid-20s, not even pushing the late 20s, but just over their mid-20s. And that really is a time now where you're coming into your peak. And it stood to them. Like, you even look at Brian Donovan, a person who has so much ability. He's physically just made for this game, and he's really, even though he didn't get on the score sheet against Antrim, the ground he covers, the tackles he puts in, the attention he draws from the opposition, it just creates space for other players. And Peter, obviously, he's been probably around a long time. I played with Peter in maybe 2014. And he came into the team maybe in full forward line 2015, and he really lit it up inside the full forward line. And maybe having done a bit of a journey out the field, maybe inside there is where he's most effective. He really was, and it really was a team performance last day. But when you're getting 1-2 from play, it's a great kind of fill up for a team that are kind of scoring a point, 2 points around the pitch anyway. So if one person can contribute that little bit more, it'll make a big difference. And Robbie Childs, he was missing the last day. He's become a real leader in the team. Obviously, you've still got Ian Corbett and Donald, who are so important to the whole setup, but they just strike me as a team who are really comfortable in their own skin at the minute. They know what they're doing. They know what they're about. They're kind of, at this stage, almost coaching themselves a lot on the field. That's not to take away from the excellent job that the management have done previously, Brian Wrigley and Morris Horn, who's gotten great plaudits from lads this year. But there's a real ownership being taken on the field. There's a lot of talking. If people are doing the right thing, they're being told well done. If they're doing the wrong thing, players are calling them on it. And that just comes with a bit of experience too, that you know at this stage that I can trust this fella, and they've gotten to know each other. And I think it really helps when you can see, if we've all been there, when a good player goes off the team and you're kind of looking to the bench at times going, I'm not sure about this fella, and it kind of affects your own performance as much as the team's. But it just looks at the minute that if someone goes down, then when the bench player comes on, or when the player been introduced, it's just next man up, let's go again, and nothing seems to change. Obviously there's big players in the team that you really don't want to lose, but at the minute you'd have to say, using 25 players in the first 2 league games, that everyone has played their part, which is just brilliant.
You mentioned the team, you're saying they know what they're doing. Is there an emphasis on goals? Obviously Limerick are the top scorers across all 4 divisions, or is it that they're just taking their chances when they arise?
You'd have to say they're taking their chances. You'd have to say there's not an emphasis. I kind of asked Billy after the match that, and obviously it wasn't going to say, oh yeah, we're really going for goals, but you wouldn't say that there's a real emphasis on it. But players are making the right decisions. You had the case the last day when James Naughton was coming in along the end line, and I'm probably thinking of in the stand, just fist it over or just take your point. But at least he looked across to see, was there somebody there? And you had Cian Sheehan just coming on at the right time. Very easy goal. It's one of the goals that you see the Kerrys and the Dublin score the whole time, and they make it look so easy, and you wonder, well, why can't we do that? And sometimes it's just because the player who has the ball just before it gets to the final pass just doesn't see it or isn't able to execute it. But in that instance, James saw it. He had to look for it. Obviously, they've been working on it, and saw Cian. Obviously, if there was no one there, he wouldn't have given it. But Cian obviously backed himself to get into that position. Likewise, in the second goal, you suppose when your tails are up, Hugh Burke receives a kick pass in from Dara Tracy at midfield, who went through a ton of work, won the mark, and could have just taken it and maybe, okay, we'll slow it down here and we'll just take our score. But at least he had a look and see was it on inside, and it was, and the goal came from it. So I think, to answer your question, players are having a look to see is it on. If it's not on at the minute, they're making the right decision to just take what's on offer. But if it is on, then they're having the confidence in themselves to go for it and see is it on. But look, you don't score 4 goals every game. You don't score 2 goals after 5 minutes or 6 minutes every game. So it's important that when it comes to a game and the defence is really set up the way Louth probably will be this weekend, that you can keep knocking it over and keeping the scoreboard ticking.
Yeah, you mentioned Louth there, obviously 3rd game up, and I suppose 3rd game would be kind of a pivotal game if you win, promotion is really there for you. If you lose, it's kind of about regrouping. What do you expect from Louth, who have only a 1 point to show from their name?
I expect them to be very solid defensively. And that point that they did get was of the last kick of the game variety. I think the last day out against Longford, which will give you confidence. I'm sure they left that pitch and thinking, okay, we're on the board now here, back at training that week. I'm sure there was a little more pep in their step about, okay, things are starting to click into place as well. But having seen a few highlights of their match against Laois the previous week, you would have had to say that it just came down to goal chances. Laois took their goal chances and Longford didn't. And Louth didn't. So that was the difference. Like another day, Louth take their chances at the start of that game, and it's a different game completely. In Sam Mulroy, they really have one of the top forwards operating in the country, not just in the division. Like he's a big guy. He's well able to score. He got the equalising score last day. He's somebody that Limerick will really have to keep tabs on. And I'm sure they will be planning for him, but he's a very effective forward inside, and he'll take serious watching. So, look, they're coming down. I've been in the situation where you have no win after your first two games, and there's a bit of pressure. Like there is a bit of pressure on you, but that can also give the team a bit of a jolt. Like that, it's kind of now or never type stuff. From a Limerick point of view, the confidence is high. You can see that. You just have to be careful that you're not believing in the hype, like that. Oh, now that we're been talked about in the Sunday game, and we're getting all these great plaudits, and a lot of reports are being done about us. But like it's a cliche, but it's the next game that matters. That's all that matters. Very quickly in a division like Division 3, and we've been there, unfortunately. Like 6 points can get you relegated, and 8 points could get you promoted. So you don't want to be going into the last round with that hanging over you. Your home games are so important. The Gaelic grounds, I think, will suit Limerick the way they play football at the minute. Big wide open areas for the runners. So look, you'll be going in confident, hopeful, and look, to be honest, why not now? You know, everything is, players are back. They've almost a fresh, no injuries, you know, to pick from. Tails are up, things are going well. Like players are at a level now, a maturity level, a physical level, a game sense level where they seem to be ready. Like you ask any manager, they're always building. You know, we're always building for the following year. Well, I would say, why not now? Like Limerick are in a position now where they are performing at a level that they haven't been for a long time. So why not try and really, really make the most of it now and see the opportunities in front of them to really kind of push for promotion out of the division. At least push for it. See what happens after that. But don't look too far ahead. Big game on Sunday, and just go out with the same attitude that they went out in the previous 2 games.
And you mentioned there the Gaelic grounds. How important is it that the people of Limerick just get out and support the footballers? Because obviously we see with the hurlers, they're getting youth support. There was the ones 10,000 there on Saturday night. But these Limerick footballers are given the same effort. They're getting a lot of wins as well recently. Like they will obviously feed off a crowd if it's there.
They will, like this. Like it's unfortunate that you don't get it. It is a reality of it, and you can really feed off a crowd, and it doesn't take thousands, to be honest. It only takes a couple of hundred more. Even above Antrim, I'd say if there was 20 Limerick supporters there would have been that would have been a lot, I'd say. But the noise that was coming was so loud, like, and every tackle was, and a turnover and score was cheered. But if you're talking about support, like it's that little bit of when you're on top, it just gives you that more of a boost. And when you're kind of down and you do a big turnover, it gives you more of a boost to hear that noise off the sideline and just that, okay, we do have a bit of back in here. And like I said with the players and the management about now or never, like what exactly is it that Limerick people are waiting for to see from this team? Like I really think that they're a team you could get behind. Like whatever about winning matches and promotion and all that, the number one thing you want to see from any team, and any Limerick team especially, is serious effort. Serious kind of, like, when a ball is there, win it or get a turnover, and really, like, when you're on the ground, get back up and just work hard. And this team have it. Like, so, Grant, the results make things, they're the cherry on top and everything. But when you're going out and seeing a group that are just committed, they're committed to giving everything, then no matter where you're from, you can get behind it. But unfortunately, when you're operating Division 3 and you're not on television, the only way of seeing it is to actually get out and actually see it in person. And And I do think there's something to get behind. You know, they're a young enough group. Still, they're operating in their mid-20s, their early 20s. They could be here for a while. Like, so it would be fantastic if you could get extra numbers in the Gaelic grounds. If it made a difference between getting over the line and not, wouldn't it be great if just by getting up on a Sunday and going in there, I think 2 o'clock in the Gaelic grounds is when it's on, like perfect time of day for people. Just get in there, get behind them, see what they're like. First of all, if you like what you see, come back again. But at least give them the opportunity to show you what they're capable of.
And I suppose finally, it's not really about Limerick. I suppose it's about Limerick football in a way. UL are looking for a first Sigerson Cup title. I don't know how invested you are in this Sigerson campaign. I know you're went to UL and obviously you're involved with teams, but it should give Limerick football a boost to have UL in there with Declan Bruder and obviously Paul Maher as captain of the side.
Yeah, like I remember I sent a message in a group during the week that as soon as they won, I said, I'm sure the narrative here is going to be that a Limerick football college with a Limerick captain, a Limerick manager, and a Limerick coaching staff has reached the first Sigerson final since '97. Like, I was messing, obviously, because it's David Clifford when you're UL, and that's probably the same for any team that he's on. To be fair, but look, it's a great thing. You have 3 lads on the panel. You have Paul Maher as captain, and you have John Hayes from St. Kieran's, and Ronan McGilligan is the sub goalie from Mungret. So there's a bit of interest on the pitch. There's the coaching staff are Limerick born and bred. The college itself has really kind of supported football since my time. Like all those years ago, it was really only getting going then, but they've really supported football over the years. You've John O'Grady doing a super job with the freshers there the last few years, and it's, I suppose, when you were a Limerick person going in there originally, you'd almost say, "Oh, well, where are you from?" When you're Limerick, and you're like, "Okay, we're not really looking for Limerick players. We're looking for elsewhere." But to be fair, with the freshers teams I've been involved on, and looking at the Sigerson teams over the years, like, there's been a real sprinkle of Limerick players. And look, it's great because it's on your doorstep. It's football and Limerick mentioned in the same sentence, you know, so that can't happen enough for my liking. And if they were to win, it's a massive thing for the college. Obviously, they've never won a Sigerson first final since '97. A lot of work has gone into it. Declan Bruder's been there a few years now, and it's kind of fallen into place this year. They've had a few injuries, obviously, of their own. Owen McLaughlin missing, Stephen O'Conbor missing, but they look a team that's going places. NUIG will be hard beat because they've lost players and really kind of circled the wagons themselves. Like, so they'll be very hard to beat in a final. But look, it's fantastic. Like I said, anytime you've Limerick in football and finals in a sentence is good. And no more than last Friday, you'd Copswood Solutions in the Munster final and see the football. Now they didn't win, but look, great that they're in it. And then on the Saturday, you'd Yabby and Tip in it, and you'd a couple of lads from Ula and Paddy Kennedy from Galway involved. Like, so look, it's great. Like, anytime you see Limerick in football in the same sentence, it's good, and it's thankfully it's becoming a little more common in recent times than